You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Eddie, and I'm not even going to attempt the last name, but Eddie, tell me what you do professionally, brother.
I do airport security. I search the employees at the airport.
You do that TSA shit I hate.
No, I do. I search TSA. I don't search passengers.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, I give them a taste of their own medicine.
Oh, so you make them bend down and give them the awkward treatment, spread the legs, get the rubber glove out and everything?
Not yet, but I'm working on it.
Is that like
that happen?
Hold on, is that like a class they add to your title or something? Like you're going to be known as the breacher or the searcher?
Cavity search team class. I got my license to search people's cavities. No, that's not.
I'm about to say, is that like the FBI sweat jacket federal body inspector? Come on now.
Yeah, that's exactly. We inspect federal bodies.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Now, what types of things are you searching for with TSA people?
Really, like what I'm looking for are guns, knives, and bombs. I don't just search TSA. That's just mostly who we search. We search all the employees that come through, like into the secure area, basically. So it's like if you go to a courthouse, you have to take all the shit out of your body and metal, anything that's going to go off on the metal detector. But we have like these advanced systems. They're not just looking for metal. They're looking for like anomalies.
So you're not stopping them before they fly on a plane. You're stopping them before they go into their job. You're just making sure they're not carrying something in there.
Yeah, basically. Because, some people come in and out all the time. So we just search them over and over again. Because, like, at any point, if a terrorist wanted to pay someone like 10 grand to sneak in a weapon, they would probably choose like a TSA agent or something like that.
Now, how understanding are you guys of people that accidentally bring in like weapons or something? Like if I remember one time I walked in with a pocket knife, not even knowing that I bought it there from Hawaii as a souvenir, and it was in my bag. And I literally let them know it was there. Like after I figured out, like after I already have my shoes off and I'm getting uncomfortably patted down, I was like, oh shit.
Well, when it comes to the employees, that really depends. Like we have found quite a lot of guns, not me personally, but just in general, we find guns all the time on employees, just how TSA actually finds guns all the time on passengers. Like it's a really common thing for people to accidentally bring their guns. And, originally, like they were kind of giving a little bit of leeway, like, oh, you brought your gun, it's okay, you're not going to lose your job, you're just going to get a suspension and maybe lose your concealed carry license. But now they've been cracking down because some TSA agents they just keep forgetting. So
keep forgetting to not bring their gun on an airplane
to the airport. Yeah. It always fascinates me. Like if you work at the airport, it just seems like you should know to not bring your gun, but people do it anyways.
I think it's because people get too comfortable with it on their hip. It becomes like a pocket knife or a belt. So it's like, yeah, if you're in the South or something, it's basically like, oh, I didn't even realize my gun was there. It's like, oh shit. Like it's like when you accidentally sit on your balls or something.
Yeah, that is pretty close. I mean, you should know that your balls are there, but you just get used to them being there. To me, it's like, why don't you just have a bag for your gun and then not use that for work? But I don't know. I guess people are too lazy to buy two bags.
Well, I think the problem is when you own a concealed carry permit or you have a gun, you went out of your way to go and show people that you're able to carry a gun. You're basically showing it off. It's like the kid that wears 50 armbands on his arm. He's just doing it to show off,
I was totally that kid in high school. I wore like so many wristbands, the rubber wristbands on my like the Live Strong bracelets, but all the different kinds of shit. Like
I wore the boobies bracelet, the one that was like for breast cancer awareness, but I only wore it because it said boobies on it.
Not to spread awareness about breast cancer, but just because
Boobies.
boobies.
Now, I
Yeah,
mean, so working in an airport, it must be kind of tense there, but it's probably got to be pretty easy going. Like you work the night shift, right?
yeah, graveyard shift. I work till around. I work 10 hours a day at night. I'm able to come in when the sun's up still, and then I leave it around 5 a.m. And yeah, I catch the sun coming back up as I drive home.
Do you prefer working those night shifts? It seems like it'd be a little bit easier in an airport because basically the people that are coming in are pretty fucking tired. So they're just like, oh, I'm just going to throw my bag and lay right down on this seat. And mostly it's just people waiting for planes. Like it's just layover times.
Yeah, I love the night shift. I hate talking to passengers. They always ask the same dumb questions. They always ask you like, "Where's the baggage claim?" And I work right by the baggage claim, so just have to point behind me. They don't take like 5 seconds after they come out of the arrivals area to be like, "Oh, I wonder where my bag is." They just immediately come to the person in the uniform. So it's nice when all of that's gone and they're just no one's there. I just sit down and read all day,
I,
really.
I think it gets really weird in an airport. It's the same thing like waiting for like a cab or something. It's people get really, really like very, very aggressive, you know?
Um, I just noticed people get super comfortable. Like some people, because we got outlets everywhere, and people bring pillows. Some people are waiting like overnight for their next flight, so they'll just be sleeping. We also get a lot of homeless people, so sometimes it's hard to differentiate like who's homeless and who's just waiting for their next flight. We got one crazy lady who I thought was homeless, but she does dress really nice. So we just think that she just might be some senile old lady who just likes to go to the airport and talk to people.
Now, don't lie to me here, but how many times do you ride the escalator every single day?
Um,
It's got to be a good amount. Come on.
Me, nah. Actually, I don't. I rarely ride the escalator. Like You mean the people mover or the escalator?
I get both. I would ride all of it. Anything that
I,
it doesn't involve walking myself, something doing it for me.
I used to do that like the first 3 months I was working there because my job was a little different. Well, like we used to walk around to each terminal and randomly search employees as they came through the doors. But now that I'm just at one post and I just sit there, it's like I don't have any reason to use the escalators or anything.
I chalk up working at a kind of an airport. It's the same thing as working like a hotel. Like you kind of, when you said you become comfortable, it is kind of become your home in a little bit of a way. Like, I mean, after you land there, basically you can take once you take the shit in the toilet, that all that kind of self-esteem or whatever, that kind of worry about what other people are going to think just goes away. You end up freaking pulling out a blanket, laying right on the middle of the floor, laying on an escalator. It's like
Absolutely.
it's like, all right, man, you got to remember we're still in a public place. I mean, I've had those flying those red eyes, man, where it's like it's supposed to be 2 o'clock in the morning, but then the sun's coming up because you're in a different time zone. You're like, oh shit. Like, you're exhausted. And that's what gets people frustrated in airports. Like people fighting at baggage claim. Nobody follows the rules.
Yeah.
Nobody. They don't listen. There's a line you're supposed to stand behind, but everyone goes up to the baggage claim and just starts grabbing other people's baggage looking for theirs. I'm like, when you see it,
Yeah.
you'll know.
I hate that people just touching things that aren't theirs. It's like, man, maybe it's the American centric thing. Like we have this extreme like love for our property, but it does bug me. Like, don't touch shit that's not yours unless you really have to. It's in the way, whatever. But like, just don't be grabbing other people's shit and just say, "Hey, what's this?" It's like, leave that shit alone, man.
Well, I think it's crazy the fact that we fly on airplanes on the concept of we put our blind faith in a person to know exactly what they're doing.
I actually would love to travel on an airplane all the time. Mainly because when I drive on the road, I feel like I'm a good driver, but I'm just surrounded by idiots. Like I get a lot of road rage, and to me, just one guy just flying a plane, he's got $120,000 put into training. Like these guys pay $120,000 so that they can fly a commercial plane. The only problem I have with it is that I'm poor somewhat. So like I always, I fly normal coach, right? That's what it's called, second class,
Yeah.
whatever. And that sucks. It's really bad. It like I feel like it's gotten worse, but I used to fly as a kid, and then you never feel like the seats are tiny. But
Oh,
like,
that freaking serving tray that's in front of you.
oh
Like
man, it's so fucking garbage.
I swear to God, every seat I've ever gotten on an airplane has the broken serving tray, so it keeps coming down. It just does
Oh.
not go back up, and I'm like, this sucks.
Or like the people who recline in their seats, and then like it's right on you, and you just think to yourself, like, how is this even possible? Like, who designed this shit?
I don't know if I'm cursed, but every time I go into a movie theater and every time I get on an airplane, there's always a baby crying.
Oh
Every
man.
single time. I'm like, we're on a 12-hour flight right now. Why did you bring your baby on this thing? Why? I get you want to go on vacation, but stay home. Wait till he's older. The woman had like a newborn on an airplane, and as soon as it takes off, bam, the ears pop. Next thing I know, the baby's crying for a good hour and a half, hour in the beginning, then ended up passing out, and then woke up again later and started crying again. I'm like, dude.
And then, like the future of pharmaceuticals is going to be baby sedatives, like just sedatives that can be sold over the counter to mothers who are going on planes, and they could just put their baby to sleep.
Slip something in the bag of peanuts you give us. Like, holy crap.
Those tiny little whiskey bottles. I mean, that's enough for a baby, probably.
Now, I do enjoy when they do come by on the serving trays and offer, like, would you like a drink? And I'm like, sure. And I'm like, can I get, when they give me options to eat, I'm like, what can I get? Like, you can get chicken or you can get like a little bit of fish or something. I'm like, can I get chicken? Like, sorry, we're out of chicken. I'm like, well, can I get fish? Like, we're out of fish. I'm like, why'd you give me the options? Like, what else do you have on there? I'll just take more peanuts, I guess.
Yeah. Well, protein and I think there's well, salt is good for you, right? Like you get the electrolytes.
Yeah, but you can't survive off peanuts, bro. If that plane goes down, like if you ever see a plane crash movie and the first thing they find the food cart or whatever and they start looting all of it, like there's a guy with a bunch of peanuts and he's like, this shit is not going to last me. He ends up looking for someone else to eat or something. He's looking for the weakest person. I hate when they sit me next to the door.
Oh, you hate that? Isn't it like you get more space though? I've never sat next to the door.
You get space, dude, but I freak out. Now, I know it takes 8,000 pounds of pressure to open up that door lock when it's flying because of all the air pressure outside. It keeps it basically shut. So trying to pull that lever, like someone couldn't just get up from their seat and decide to open up the door.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and a woman goes by me and goes, so are you going to be my little helper? I was like 12 years old. I was like, what? And she was like, if we get into an emergency, are you going to be able to, do you feel comfortable in this seat to help everybody get off the airplane? I'm like, I didn't pick the seat. I didn't choose this one. It's not like when you choose the handicap section in the movie theater, and you get the extra leg room. I didn't choose this. I was given this seat by the airline. And like, do you feel comfortable switching with someone else? I'm like, if you want to find somebody to switch with, but honestly, I'm pretty sure if this plane goes down, if you switch me out with a different person in here, we're all fucked. It's not happening. Nobody's going to be in a perfect scenario. This isn't the movie Flight or Sully.
It's probably a psychological thing to make people feel that they're safe. Like, wait, what was it? What movie was it that they were talking about? Like the masks coming down is really just to make people think that they're going to be fine. Like the oxygen, breathing pure oxygen is going to make them like start to hallucinate or like calm down. Fuck, what movie was that? I don't know if it was Fight Club. No, not The Gray, but I don't know. Well, whatever. That's it's just like little things that the idea that there's someone next to the emergency door and that they're going to be the one responsible for saving everyone's lives. It just makes other people feel safer.
Dude, I've always been scared of flying on airplanes ever since I was on an airplane and they played Snakes on a Plane.
Oh, I love that movie.
Not when you're on a plane. Not when you're on a plane.
That is not a good choice for an air flight movie or whatever. But,
I had 7 hours left in the flight after that movie ended, and I did not use the bathroom once. I was too afraid I was going to take a piss, and a snake was just going to come right out of the toilet.
Just bite your dick off.
And the weirdest. I actually podcasted with someone that creates the like the airplanes, like actually works like fixing everything and also kind of building it up, like structuring and everything. And he was talking about when the time I was talking with him, he said they were just finishing up getting everything kind of like checked over again, and they're installing the sewage system in the airplane, like the whole flushing, like installing the new toilets and everything. And I was like, aren't those things badass?
The suction, like the
Dude,
fact that they
you
just
flush it and it's like, I mean, a jet engine sucking that thing down there. There's no clogs. There's
yeah.
no worries.
I wonder, like, do people get those types of toilets installed into their own bathroom?
I
Like
actually
at
looked
home?
it up to do that myself, and you can, and it is a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, where does it go? Do you still get, like, is it plumbing? Is it a septic tank?
There's a thing. Okay, so I actually went to Home Depot. I don't know if you have a Home Depot, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay. But they actually looked at their toilet selection. So the one I was going to purchase was called Mr. Toilet. $699. And it had like this epic ultra flush system where it like it flushes like 3 times in once. Like there's the hard one, then a soft one, and then it's like there's one that clears the whole thing and even puts soap in it to kind of clean it out. And I'm like, that's dope. But honestly, I was like, I'd rather just spend $30 on getting a wood toilet like seat cover and then just put it on my toilet I have now. And I'm telling you, it's like I'm shitting in a log cabin.
Shit. What is the good thing about having a wood toilet seat cover?
It's not actually wood. Like you're not gonna get a splinter or anything, but it's just it looks authentic as hell. Like I remember, sometimes you have the boring planned white one. You want to change it up with like a nice wood one. It makes you feel like kind of like a woodsman in a way.
Or spray it pure, like spray paint your whole bathroom black. I wonder if that would look cool.
It's like the people that put the tile on the floor to make it look like they're falling when they walk in.
Oh,
And I'm like, why would you wouldn't ever want to go in your bathroom ever?
I would love that. I love shit like that. Like, just put, to me, like the idea of if I ever owned a home, like actually owned a house, I would just do a lot of fucking weird shit with my walls and everything.
Like what types of weird shit? Just customize it to give people like
Yeah.
illusions.
I want to paint on my walls like these black streaks that kind of just go all over the place. Don't really have any pattern or any particular like image. It's just black streaks all across the walls, maybe with like a yellow or red background. I would probably do that. I don't know. I mean, like that's the thing about thinking about the future. Like, oh yeah, that's what I'll do when I own a home. But what if I do actually get married? I don't know if I ever want to get married, but like if I do, would she be okay with that? But then I think to myself, like someone I'd marry would probably be okay with something like that at least. I don't know.
I feel like it's the same thing when people buy homes, like why a lot of like, mothers or like kind of like proud homeowners, they get obsessed with the inside of their home as well as the outside. And it's all based on looks, what other people are going to think when they walk in the front door. Like the front door, like it's like the first appearance is everything. So they buy a bunch of useless books they never read just so it looks like they read. I'm like, I'm just going to start punching holes in my home and make it like a bunch of holes in the wall so people think I'm like a fighter that gets aggressive.
Start punching holes in here, because then people show up like, oh hey, you got holes in your wall, what do you do, MMA? It was like, yeah, I'm glad that's your first guess. Yeah, when you saw all the holes in my wall.
Not that I'm an insane psychopath that doesn't know how to anger his anger.
He's just some guy with holes in his wall,
or just a bunch of beads.
Like Mardi Gras beads?
Like the ones where you have, the old hippies have, where they have like you walk through the doorway, instead of a door, it's just a bead curtain.
I hate that shit. The reason why I hate that is because every time I've gone through one of those, I feel like easily that shit just rips off or gets tangled up. Everyone's house that I've gone to, that shit gets messed up immediately. And then like there's not much you can do once your beads get all tangled up and fucked up and stuff. So they just let it stay like that until eventually someone rips it out accidentally. And then you got beads all over the floor. Then you step on that when you're barefoot, because we know that most people with beads on their doorways are barefoot all the time when they're walking around. So then they got a bead in their barefoot. Too. Yeah, I got long hair.
You probably own beads, that's why.
Yeah, I'm a big bead guy. Not hippie beads. The anal beads.
No. Oh my goodness, come on now. This is a family show. There's no language or weird things being talked about.
Have you ever seen that cartoon? Not a cartoon. Well, it's like a meme or whatever. A macro image of like, I think it's Ash Ketchum using the Pokeballs as anal beads. Like,
oh my God, I do not want to go. Don't ruin my
Google
childhood
shit,
for
dude.
me. I don't want to Google that. I already get nightmares.
Oh man, this shit is hilarious. It's like you see the Pokemon, they don't look happy at all either.
I wouldn't be happy either. People take some shit. Like, this is the same thing that happened with Pepe the Frog. That freaking feels bad, man. Like, people took that and turned it into Nazi propaganda.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember when it was just the feels good guy. And also then he became like Foul Bachelor Frog. I don't know which was first, but yeah, it was just a simple cartoon.
It was the animator sued all those people that were doing that. He sued Alex Jones for using it. He sued because Alex Jones used it on his website saying Hillary's bad, man, like the right wing type political thing.
Oh, and man,
he morphed it, and the creator of it got really upset and sued Alex Jones for $15,000, and Alex Jones okay, that's like peanuts to me, and just threw it.
Yeah, see, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I think Alex Jones is a hilarious existing.
Oh, dude, he's a right in a lot of ways, man. I'm telling you. People give him a lot of shit for being crazy and outlandish, but he just has too much information, and he's tired of spouting it over and over again calmly, so he just gets upset about it.
His only problem is that he's not researching. He's just being given information by whatever the fuck crazy people he hires for that show.
Well, if you want to go down Alex Jones, dude, I'll freaking some of his conspiracy theories, man. I've listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with him that's 4 hours long, and every 10 minutes I paused it and looked up what he said, and everything actually has a thing behind it.
That is interesting. I've only listened to the first 30 minutes of that. I do eventually want to listen to the whole thing.
Well, he talks about
4 hours is a lot, though.
He talks about the movie Men Who Stare at Goats.
Oh, I love that movie.
You know that's based on a real government project, right?
Yeah, I don't know the details.
It's called Project Jedi, and it happened an hour and a half away from where I live, and my mom went to that high school.
Nice. So they were trying to use LSD to get psychic powers out of people?
So when Operation Paperclip happened, I don't know if you know too much about that.
Not at all.
It's basically after that we beat the Nazis and everything. It was a united powers effort. It was England, Russia, China, all these places, or not China, Japan, all came together and kind of stopped Hitler because we realized that they were getting out of control with just a small ass country, basically.
Yeah.
So Operation Paperclip was literally the name of it is what happened. They used to paperclip files to the Nazi scientists, and they actually split them up. And they were given to each power that helped take down Germany. So Russia got to choose which warriors they wanted. This is around the time we were in the space race. So we were going for the scientists in the Nazi program that were really good with space travel, really good in that research department, which is actually why that white space shuttle you see on NASA's image, that's made by Werner von Braun. That's a Nazi contraption.
Okay.
So we got all our information for our space race, for winning at least, is all from the Nazis. Our whole entire space program is influenced by Nazi, basically, knowledge. And then Russia got, I think it was chemical scientists, dealing with chemicals and these types of things, the brain processing and all that. And then Japan got the biological type, bubonic plague type stuff.
So we split up so we used the Nazi scientists to take down the Nazis, or we just used the Nazi scientists to advance our own lives?
After we beat the Nazis, we took the scientists' research because they're there's a thing called the Nuremberg trials, and this was 18 Nazi scientists put on trial, and they were forgiven for their war crimes on the concept of we just could use their research. Because they're we can't stop what they did, so we might as well give them pardon just to use their research.
It's sort of have you ever seen Independence Day Resurgence?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, did you see the first Independence Day?
I did see Will Smith blow up some aliens.
Yes. So after they defeat them, Independence Day Resurgence takes place, I guess, like 25 or 30 years later. I don't remember exactly, but it takes place like in modern times, but with this altered history of after defeating the aliens. And we use their technology to make the world a better place. So actually, like like modern day 2018 America or the world is actually like peaceful. Everyone's working together. Like all the nations are working together using alien technology to make everything a better. Until eventually the aliens come back, which is like what's going on right now. The Nazis are coming back.
Well, dealing with Operation Paperclip, when we looked at Project Jedi, was on information we got that was way old information coming from that Russia was dealing with psychological spies, creating these psychic warriors, believing that humans had these types of psychic abilities. So America goes, wait a minute, they're making psychological warriors? They're making psychic warriors? All right, guess we're going to fucking do it. Even though Russia gave up on it literally like a year before that information hit us. So then we started creating Project Jedi, run by General Applebine or Stubblebine. And, it was as ridiculous as the movie was. I didn't find out all this to be true until 10 years after I saw the movie. So I was like, what? Like, there's a dude that used to run into walls thinking he could go through them. The movie did glamour it up a little bit, but there was literally a guy like that used to run and into walls thinking he could go through it. They had a lab of goats. They had they apparently stopped a goat's heart one day. Like there's records of it. This is all on the CIA website. You can look this up.
This is so great.
All the names are black lined out, but then they talked about like they were testing radiation on the bones of infants, and Alex Jones literally quoted that exact thing, saying like they're testing
live infants.
Well, yeah. Well, all right. So this goes into the concept of late-term abortion.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing that clip of Alex Jones talking about the.
There's proof that we're talking about late-term abortion. Now, did you understand what was happening actually?
You know what? No idea.
All right, just be 100% honest. Look, hold on. Let me get down to this because this is actually some important shit. So now, when it comes to late-term abortion, the problem is what Alex Jones was talking about is, who ethically deems that a human is viable is a committee of people. So what happens is during late-term abortion, they can actually tell the mother that the baby died or is unviable, so it's not going to last. Like basically kind of creating a false kind of, it's like if I told you your car after I inspected it was up to standards and really I didn't even get to inspect it. I just kind of flushed it over, like whatever. You know, it's like lying to them. So the mother would think their baby would die and or have like a heart tumor or something wrong with it. So the mother would be like, yeah, just put it out of its misery. Then you're like, okay, we'll do that. Well, doctors have been like basically arrested and it's been a serious government problem that they actually send that baby. You get a bunch of vans, all these things coming to pick up that baby and actually take it somewhere to be experimented on and get the cells taken out of it. Like that's where we get stem cells, is from like that placenta type stuff. So,
yeah. I figured that to be true when he was talking about it, just because it does sound like because all the pieces that you put into place make sense. Like when a late term abortion occurs, well, like if there's a complication, so they have to remove the baby early, and then they really have like people that have to decide, is this infant going to live or not, or should we just put it out of its misery? So it makes sense that they would say that to their to the mother of the child without actually like having her understand the science that they've used to make this decision in the first place. So like politically speaking, that's like that could go into dark territory immediately.
Well, the problem is when you start talking about things like this, people go, that can't be true, on the concept of they think the government is red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
I tell them the government's not the problem. People are the problem. But you know what people do? They run the government. They're filled in the government. They're known to do corrupt shit to get information. We talk about like there's a project called Project Sunshine. Okay, it was called Project Sunshine and Project Stargate. These were things that they used to basically dig up the corpses of loved ones, like people's loved ones, and they used to test the radiation on their bones. They used to test them on newborn babies, like tell the mother the baby had died. They would do these types of testing. Now, American government did it, Australian government did it, basically every government did it. But you know what the only difference between us and all of them?
What?
They apologize. We didn't apologize.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because if we
Australia paid
apologize and
off.
we admit we did something wrong.
Well, we've never made an apology over anything. I've talked about people that fight like, we deserve reconciliation for everything. We deserve some type of compensation for our loss, being slaves. And I'm like, that's not my fault. But the government has never made an outright apology for what they did. They never did that. They just totally glossed it over and ignored it. Australia paid $700,000 in fees to each family that they digged up the bones from. Like doesn't excuse what they did, but at least they tried. At least they said we fucked up. But
they tried to make things better. I mean, that's what they should have done they should have just gone up to people and said, "Hey, if you let us, if we'll give you this certain amount of money, if you let us exhume this body and do some testing on it," and then that would have. I mean, me personally, I'm kind of nihilistic when it comes to all that, so I'll be like, "Yeah, that's people can do that," but like just the idea of just taking things that aren't yours and like doing these experiments on it with no consideration over how others might feel, like that's sociopathy.
Well, the problem is like people talk about the Nazis being the worst people. Like whenever you compare somebody to the devil, you always say Adolf Hitler or something like that. But actually, if you look, the worst type of torture, like group research, whatever team you want to call that, were just like the Nazis, was Unit 731 in Japan. And they were known as the Biomedical Tissue Services of Japan. That's a really fucking sketchy ass name for what they were doing. Now, have you ever seen the movie Snowpiercer?
Yeah, I love that movie.
You know when they used to stick the person's like body part outside of the train to freeze it over, then hit it with a hammer?
Yeah.
So Unit 731 actually did that to people. What they would do is they would, in the middle of Japan, they would take them out into freezing cold, put their body parts in different temperatures of liquid. Then they would check how long it would take to get frostbite, and they would hit it with types of hammers and actually shatter their arms and things. Like it was ridiculous. It sounded like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
They also used to do things where they used to test how long or how far, or not how far, how fast they could take your left arm off and attach it to your right side of your body and then time it and see how long it took for you to bleed out.
Damn, son.
Yeah, they used to have a log camp. This is what they called it. Their torture camp was called a log. It was a logging camp, and the people were known as logs, mindless drones, dude.
That's so brutal, dude.
It's crazy because I read the accounts of the people that were victims at this camp, like that were survivors from it. And they were like, at one point, there were so many bodies, they literally just had us throwing people's bodies into a pile and setting it on fire. Like they were talking about walking through the camp. There were these giant freaking test tube sized tanks filled with people's organs and like ears and heads and all these things just floating around.
That's monstrous. You know, that's kind of like before, what's his name? Joseph Lister and a couple of other people.
Fastest knife in the West End, man.
Yeah, like surgery used to just be about how quickly you could remove someone's leg or something like that. Like it didn't have to do with fixing someone as much as just taking off their leg or arm so that they
that's actually one of my favorite things to talk about. I'm glad you brought this up. Dr. Lindsay Fitzharris, that Joe Rogan podcast, inspired me to go get her book.
Oh yeah, I read that book.
So that book, The Art of Butchery, there's Robert Liston, known as the fastest knife in the West End, who had a 300% mortality rate, man. But like back then, we didn't know anything about anesthetics. We didn't know anything about like dulling pain. That's why they wanted you to be fast. That's why they wanted you to be able to like chop somebody's leg off in a matter of like 5 minutes, because you were going to end up probably dying anyway from infection.
Yeah, you didn't want to like go through like 30 minutes of getting your legs sawn off. So like being that fast was a commodity.
It's the same concept as like when you have a Band-Aid on your leg. Like when you're slowly ripping it off, it hurts more that rather than if you just rip it right off.
Yeah.
Like
It's
someone just sitting there taking their time sawing your leg off. Like, I'm sorry, and stopping. I'm sorry, and then stopping again. You're like, just fucking cut it off.
yeah. And then we discovered cocaine and PCP as ways to try to make that better.
Flip cars over, man. Whatever happened to PCP? It was such a big thing.
I think people caught on to be like that's what's good about the information age is that like back in the day, if heroin's destroying lives, if people are having bad trips on like 5 hits of LSD, no one knew that. But nowadays we're like, oh, you only take like 1 hit of LSD and you don't do heroin at all. And PCP as well. You see all those those videos of people just like thinking that they're God and they're naked and covered in blood.
Dewey Cox actually inspired me to even look at PCP. That
Like,
and the DARE program in school. I don't know if you've ever seen Dewey Cox. He takes PCP and starts flipping cars over outside. Then he climbs on top of a building and he's like, I am Zeus. No mortal may stop me.
Is that the John C. Reilly movie?
Yeah, it's the one that
they did Walk Hard.
Yeah, they did like a parody of
Walk the Line.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Well,
sort
the
of.
problem, like the DARE program, you want to talk about something that influenced kids to literally try drugs. Like they got more kids into drugs because they never told you the bad things about it.
Well, for me, what made me get more into drugs as a result of the DARE program was finding out how much they kind of lied about shit. Like the whole idea of taking ice cream scoops out of your brain if you take ecstasy. It's like, oh, it puts holes in your brain, which is the urban, it's not a true thing. That doesn't happen.
What types of drugs did you experience after the DARE program?
Almost. I mean, I like mostly psychedelics at first, and then ecstasy was like the first hard drug that I tried.
See, the problem is people chalk up drugs to be this really taboo thing. I'm like, actually, if you've ever experienced a type of like, first of all, getting high in the first place, just trying marijuana. Like I don't smoke anymore, but when I used to, it's gave me another perception on life, dude. It's given me a different aspect to where I thought I was just like, this is how it always was. No, there's like something else there. It has deeper meaning to things. My cousin came on a podcast and talked about taking, I think it was salvia. And he talked about like he was going for carrot juice in the fridge. And before that, he opened up the carrot juice, like before it could touch his lips, he dreamt that he was the life of that carrot. Like he lived the life of that carrot. And he said it lasted like 10 fucking years. And he was like, he first he was the bird shit that came down, went into the dirt, fed, and he goes into this long ass story for like 30 minutes on the podcast about being a carrot. And then he finally drank the juice. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. And he goes, dude, it makes you put everything else in perspective. And I'm like, I can understand that because I watched a Facebook video of a bunch of pastors they had, like the Jehovah's Witness people. They had them sitting there trying LSD. And then like 2 hours into it, they started questioning God.
I love that. I want to see more of that.
It's a funny ass video because one of them is secretly gay and you don't find out until the ending.
Yes. See, a friend of mine took LSD for the first I had it for the first time. He had it for the first time. Now he's a she. But like that's the thing. Like, she discovered that she's trans. Like a year later. But like that was like the pivotal moment. She always seemed like I guess what they call toxic masculinity, where you're like always talking about like, oh, I know that doesn't seem manly and stuff, and the way I was acting, that I know that didn't seem manly, and then like after that trip, which was like a lot, it was like 3 hits of really powerful stuff, and I only had 2, and I was like gone, so I couldn't even imagine what that was like. But like after that, they kind of like became cooler, they became more secure, and they also she became a woman.
I mean, it makes sense, dude, because like watching this video, these guys trying LSD, first they're kind of sitting there like, what's it going to feel like? They're all nervous. And like, then after an hour in, they kind of fast forward it. And they're like, wow, my hands feel so weird. Like everything is really weird right now. Then they're like 2 hours in, they're playing music. And then like, I think it was like 3 hours in, they incorporated like Play-Doh and like food and stuff to eat. And then Next thing you know, it's like kind of like the fourth hour or something. And they're like, draw a picture. And like they're kind of like questioning God, like, what is your heaven going to be like? What you should draw it. And everyone drew like, it's just me and my family, you know, and they kind of drew like a kind of a depiction of God. And then one dude drew like himself and God in front of them. And they're like, why is the picture bent over? And he's like, what? He goes, picture's not bent over. He goes, what did you draw? And they unflip his picture and it's him sucking God's dick.
Whoa.
And they're like, what the hell? And he's like, you could tell he's secretly hiding something. And then at the ending, he ends up admitting to being like gay. That he's been like, it's like not part of his religion though. Like he has to follow it. But at the end, they're questioning God. Like everyone's like, I don't think God is a being. I think he's everything. Like he's all around us. Like that's what it is.
They become pantheistic.
This is the problem, like with drugs, because they make you question things too. It makes you put things in a new perspective. Like this is why Christianity has a problem with psychedelics, but the Native Americans were open to it because they believed that there was energy all around them.
Yeah. You also have to consider that, like, the way I view it when it comes to Native Americans doing psychedelics at all is that, you know, they lived a more simple life. Like they're like even Europeans, when they were back in the tribal days, I mean, they would eat whatever was on the ground and then see what made them puke and what didn't, what made them sick. So like at some point, Native American tribes, or any kind of tribe really, but like they ate something, it made them have these hallucinations where they're speaking with spirits or they're communicating with the plants, with nature, and then that basically leads to their the way they live their lives for the rest of their civilization. Like colonizers came here and just took that away. And now, like,
well, it was
Native
so
Americans,
easy for us.
Yeah, we know the history of all that, but like, it's amazing to think that type of religion, as opposed to Christianity and the more like hard doctrine of like the Bible says this is a sin, so you must be executed for doing this. Like with Native Americans, they were more in tune with nature and their spirituality, whether that's all real or not.
No, Alex Jones said that in the podcast too. He said that Native Americans and Japanese people are more into groupthink. They're more into group caring, because when like Native Americans experiencing peyote, these types of high, if you get high with that drug around with other people, it brings a sense of connection to the people around you where you experience the same trip. You experience the same thing. If you ever freaking go into a trip on some LSD or acid with somebody and you guys have the same exact trip, you're best friends for fucking life. Like you guys went through the next dimension basically together. So that creates a bonding relationship. Exactly.
Yeah. You feel other people's emotions. It really is an amazing feeling. For me, I feel like when I was in high school, I was far more, I don't want to say sociopathic, but I did lack empathy to a very large amount. And it took two like experiences. One was taking ecstasy, because I'm sure it wasn't pure MDMA, because I felt super like high, and like energetic, but there was that MDMA feeling of just like loving other people in that moment, just the connection, the love of the field, just like we're all like brothers or whatever. And then LSD, which kind of helped me understand what it's like to suffer, because I had a really bad trip when I first did LSD, because it was really powerful and I just never experienced anything like that. And it taught me what it was like to suffer emotionally, to just not feel good at all, to just feel the worst that you could possibly feel. And ever since then, like I've always felt bad, like in a way that I never did before, about people suffering. And that's why I feel that it's important for a lot of people to somehow get access to it in a safe setting. Because I think that a lot of people can benefit from it. And I think culturally we can benefit from it if more people have at least experienced powerful trips on the LSD or mushrooms. I've never done DMT, but so I don't want to recommend that at all. But definitely mushrooms and LSD, I think, will help people become better people.
it's all about creating a type of connectivity again. I mean, we're in a world where we're lost. We have nothing. We're not connected to the people around us anymore, and we look for that connection through social media.
Ugh.
Like that is going to be the acceptance, like talking to a family member or something. It doesn't make any sense. We're on the
Yeah.
wrong little bit of a path here. I think people need to go back to the roots in a way. Like why is it that anywhere you go that is a small community or small city with a very low population, the people know their fucking neighbors? How often like you go to work and you know everyone you work with? I mean, every single person.
Um, I don't. I mean,
Exactly.
I naturally I'm a very talkative person. I do like trying to communicate with everyone,
But it's difficult.
yeah,
It's not easy to
yeah.
do that. It's never easy anymore. The fact is, you can't just say, "Hey, how's it going? Crazy weather we're having out, isn't
Oh, I
it?"
hate that shit.
No, yeah, you might hate it, but it doesn't happen anymore. You know what happens now? People go like, "Hey, how's your day going? Let me tell you about my day." My day is like, "Oh shit, you're downloading all your information into me, and I can't stop. Like, I can't back away. I'm basically dived right in. Like, you didn't want all that." And it's the same concept Alex Jones is talking about. I want to keep referencing him, but he talked about how his mind's like a river and it's constantly going. It's because he has so much information into his head, he doesn't know how to speak it right. He's constantly hopping onto one thing and the next thing and the next thing. And for me, I'm able to relate to that because I have ADHD. I mean, as we're talking, you notice how our conversations go into different tangents and things. Like
Yeah, me
we
too.
started
So,
off talking about airplanes, and next thing you know, we're talking about fucking Native Americans, peyote, and then also LSD, and then anal beads at one point. Like it goes all over, and I think that's what it's people being real. It's not hiding yourself from the world. I think we live in this constant state of like, oh, I wonder what that person's going to think of me. Oh, I'm afraid of his judgment. It's like, who cares? You're going to be who you want to be. If you worry about that, you're never going to truly be happy. That monkey's never going to get off your back.
yeah, it is a nightmare. I have a lot of social anxiety as well, so like there is that constant fear in the back of my mind about what others think, and also it bugs me a lot, like small talk, just like because there's nothing real behind it. When you'll notice it when you work in one environment where you see the same people every day. Like there's always the, hey, how's it going? No one gives a shit about the answer to that question. It's just what you're trained to say when you see someone. So I just say hello, goodbye, or I'll just mention something about them, but I don't say like, how are you? I mean, I try not to. I try not to say how are you because I know that's not a real question.
Small talk doesn't offend me. It's the fact that when someone's walking by me, goes, "Hey, how you doing?" and then they keep on walking and don't stop. It's like, don't expect me to fucking answer you if you're not going to take 2 seconds to stop.
Yeah, it's not real.
What are you heating something up in the microwave?
Oh no, someone came into the house. Like,
This is where you get murdered.
yeah, no, hopefully not. But yeah, it's not a. There's nothing real about it. So I just end up, you know, I try to avoid going down that path of just saying the same greeting every day. Just
Not being
where
on
you,
fucking autopilot.
yeah, you take that. There's something about using this type of language over and over again, and you're taking away what it means. It's like when you're asking someone how they feel or how's it going. I mean, you should actually care about what they're saying, or how they're feeling. But instead, we're just kind of trained as like, yeah, that's the polite thing to do. That's just what you're supposed to do.
Well, it's funny because I talked to Matt about you guys do the podcast Two Bottles Down, and I talked to him like I'm not a big fan of alcohol. I'm 21 years old, haven't really bought a legal drink of alcohol yet, and it's only on the concept of like it's just not for me. It's not like I've had bad experiences with it whenever I've tried it. But I understand like it's also a benefit for some people. Like it's also a good thing too, like getting rid of social anxiety. I've had so many friends that have such bad anxiety to the point they have to take a shot before they can go out in the public and talk to anyone.
Yeah, I'm like that definitely.
Yeah,
Like when I'm gonna go meet people, especially that I've never met before, if I'm going to a party environment or anywhere, that definitely helps.
yeah, I mean it's liquid courage is what they call it. I mean it's
Definitely.
how did you dive into the podcast with these guys? Like, did you just decide like this is something like it's kind of helped you at least get out and become more social in a way?
Well, the podcast is just like I've known Matt since since we were like 17. So that was like over 10 years now. Yeah, he just said he had this podcast. I was like, yeah, I'm down. And I've learned quite a lot about it because of that. Just how to like make drinks. It's something I never was a big fan of liquor. I was like beer mostly, just to have a couple of beers. But now I'm just like have all this information about liquor. It makes me feel way more confident when it comes to being around liquor. Just telling people about like how to mix stuff. It's a nice little conversation piece when in an environment where there would be alcohol in the first place. I could just make someone a drink and they'll probably like it because I kind of get a feel for what they like.
Yeah, it's literally like kind of like I told him, like, I was like, it's like how Matt has a job as being a barista for a while. Like, everybody's order, the specifications, and the differences. Like once you start getting information, like when you first go to Starbucks, you order whatever's on like the picture on the outside or something you don't know, like just order for me.
That's what I do.
By the time like you're 5 years or you're like a year in or something, you're freaking already a pro. You're like, I want my double scoop with extra pump and a little bit of caramel syrup on the side with a twist. And like that's the same thing with people that go to the same bar and order the same drink every time. They know their order. They know specifications to what they like.
Yeah, that's how I am with IHOP. I only get two things, either the stuffed French toast or the chicken and waffles, and I'm comfortable with that.
What about the chocolate chip pancakes?
No, I never get that.
You're a savage. Now, do you use blueberry syrup on them?
No, I just the stuffed French toast I get. No, yeah, I use basic maple syrup. Really
good. Because a lot of people put like the special raspberry syrup on it. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop! You're just making the table more sticky.
No, the stuffed French toast comes with like fruit on top, so that's all the fruit I need for that. It's perfect the way it is.
I can't. I wish I could eat French toast, but I can't. I had a bad experience with Fireball to the point where I never want to smell cinnamon ever again.
That sucks. I actually have my mom got me a collector's edition Fireball cinnamon whiskey, and I'm sorry that you'll never be able to enjoy such a thing. But.
I killed the whole bottle by myself and knocked myself out while taking a piss. I don't need to enjoy any more Fireball. I went to the gym right after that. I think it was the next day, and I sweated Fireball for 2 days straight. Nothing but cinnamon. Ooh. And let me tell you something. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I know someone who, because they drank, like they got like sick on peppermint schnapps. It was a friend of mine, and he doesn't use toothpaste. He like uses charcoal or whatever.
That's some sketchy stuff because I use charcoal toothpaste, and it's like your whole mouth gets black, the sink gets black, and then you're like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
How does it taste?
Actually, you don't really taste it. There's like no mint.
That's awesome.
It's got no mint, like that afterburn feeling. Like some people like that afterburn feeling, but like it just feels like you just coated your teeth in fucking charcoal. Like you just took a lump of coal and just threw it in your mouth.
You know what? I might get into that just because
it's messy as hell, dude. It is honestly like I'm dreading it tonight when I brush my teeth. Like it's the concept of like there's more cleanup in the process of the sink rather than your mouth.
Yeah, to me that seems like a horror film, like The Ring. Like just to see, like just black.
That's literally what it is.
Mouth.
It's just everywhere, and it's the concept. I have this one it's hemp toothpaste. So I'm like reading it, and it's like cannabis. It just keeps saying the word cannabis. I'm like, should I do this before I go to work, or I'm going to be stoned when I go into work just from brushing my teeth?
I'm sure I'm pretty sure. Yeah, most hemp stuff it's inactive. Like there's nothing there's nothing in it that'll make you do anything.
Dude, we should just start. We just start a podcast on not beer, but we should start a podcast on like just random bullshit. Like maybe like the toilets or the types of people that make bead curtains in their house.
Wait, did you say the toilet is like the people who have bead curtains in their house?
No, they don't afford that. Are you kidding me?
Oh, okay.
We have to podcast on like you call it. What do you call it? You call it 2 beers down,
2 bottles down,
2 bottles down. My bad.
Yeah.
Well, instead of calling it 2 bottles down, how about me and you make one and we call 2 problems in the world? You either a bead curtain person or you got a giant ass toilet,
or you got an anal bead curtain.
All right, God, you ended on anal beads. You had to throw that one in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start a conversation and also end it. Like. It's like a sandwich, an anal bead sandwich.
Oh Jesus! Now the true question is: do you prefer peanut butter and jelly on your sandwich, or do you prefer peanut butter and fluff?
I've never tried peanut butter and fluff.
You never tried peanut butter and fluff?
No, I didn't even. I know what fluff is. I just never thought to do that. No one's ever told me about it.
It's like eating a pillow. Like it's really hard to chew. You probably can break your jaw, but it's really good when it goes down. You just got to be careful. You got to take small bites. Like when I was a kid, I had a really bad experience. I dumped a lot of peanut butter on one slice of bread and then a lot of fluff on the other. And I went to chew and I went and took a giant bite and swallowed. And I almost choked and died.
You've had a lot of traumatizing experiences.
I like to live dangerously, okay? Who's that one guy, Dos Equis? Like,
he likes to stay thirsty. Most interesting man in the world. Stay thirsty.
Yeah, I'm the most interesting, but I'm also the most exploratory when it comes to
the most traumatized man in the world.
Yes, I will never ride a plane thanks to Samuel Jackson.
Oh man, that sucks, dude, because that movie was pretty good.
It was good, but I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it will unless, what was the plot? That they needed to kill someone, so their plot was to put snakes on the plane?
Yeah, they had a bomb of snakes on there.
Like, of all the ways to try to kill someone on a plane. Like, planes are very vulnerable things. Like, that was their plan, was to put a bunch of venomous snakes.
I bet it was a woman that designed it, though, because, well, it's not even to be mean to women, but when women kill a person, they do it in a very long process.
They use poison, actually. So
yeah, they slowly
snakes
poison
are
you
venomous.
So that's what I'm thinking. It's like, because that bomb was on the plane for like 6 hours before it was released. So like it was a long ass thing rather than if a guy just decided to grab a rocket launcher and fire that airplane.
Also, like men probably they think like, oh, like my fear is getting shot or blown up because that's like stuff that's more likely ways for you to die. But like women are more afraid of like snakes and tarantulas because of the idea of getting poisoned. Although Matt's very afraid of snakes. No, not snakes, spiders.
I'm not afraid of spiders, but if you enter my shower, like you've already broken the laws of man. You've broken the laws of human nature. Thing. Yeah, you got to burn the house down.
I love spiders, but I don't risk because like if I see a lizard in the house, I let him live because I know he's gonna go eat like the things that I hate, like cockroaches. Like I hate cockroaches, so I know a lizard will eat that. But if I see a spider, one part of me is like, well, he's a friend, he's going to eat other bugs. But then my other part's like, well, what if he's poisonous and he bites me while I'm asleep?
What we classify as friendly animals is so weird. Like, why is a dog friendly, but then like a rat is something we want to kill?
I like rats, and I do know that I guess the risk of rats is that they're, diseased, that they carry disease, and if, you don't want that. But I like rats too. I think they're pretty adorable. Like mice and little rodents like that. I just hate cockroaches and maggots and worms, like those types of things. That's what I need to kill every fucking time I see it. Because the idea of it being in my house freaks me out.
Do you ever think instead of doing like a bomb dog, you should just have like a bomb rat?
Like a little rat that seeks out bombs?
Yeah.
You see, when you said bomb dog, the first thing I thought was in Mario Kart, the dog that is a bomb that eats you or it blows up when it hits you. But a bomb dog or a bomb rat can sneak into places and like get into something. I don't know. Like what would be the practical use of a bomb rat?
Well, instead of using a bomb to sniff out or a dog to sniff out bombs, you have a rat instead.
Like on a leash?
He's smaller. He's more compact. You just let him go. He just runs through the line real fast. So you're not having this giant dog in the way. You're just having this rat just sneak through and sniffing people's luggage and shit. Next thing you know, bam, he gets into something. He can get into crevices and shit where there's like maybe like a vent. Someone puts a bomb in there.
You would need a smarter rat though, like that Nutty Professor rat where you make them smart enough to like be trained for that because rats are dumb as fuck. Pardon the French, but rats.
The CIA. The CIA tested on an animal to make a spy cat.
Spy cat. That
It was a
sounds
cat
adorable.
with a freaking listening earbud, like that could record conversations. And do you know what happened after they spent $5 million into this idea?
I'm just thinking about a cat
I'm dead
with
serious.
an earbud in his ear, and he's like, he has his paw with a pen in it, and he's just writing down conversations.
Dude, I swear to God, it's a real government thing that happened. It was called Acoustic Kitty, okay? It was called Acoustic Kitty. It was a CIA project. It was launched in like the 1960s to use cats to spy on like Soviet embassies and shit. And dude, they would take it's an hour-long procedure, and like a vet would implant a microphone in the cat's ear canal and a small radio transmitter at like its skull with a thin wire into its fur. Dude, it took $20 million, okay? $20 million, not 5, 20 million. And you know what happened? The very first test they had, it failed because it got hit by a taxi as soon as they dropped it off. Fucking $20 million gone.
What a fucking stupid way to just imagining, like, I want to see a whole movie about that, like them just like the first 2 hours is them doing all the research and getting the approval for that and the money, and then finally like the last 5 minutes they're like, all right, cat, go out and find shit out.
Dude, they tried it on dogs, but the sad thing was dogs' minds are too easily to wander, so trying to get a dog to just sit in one place and listen, it wouldn't happen. The dog would go chase like a car. But then the cat wasn't even fucking smart enough to look across the road, just got hit. You know, it's crazy to hear that and then see where we're at now with animals in warfare. Like we have dolphins that have like sonar things onto their head that can disable bombs, and we have seals that can do like rescue dive missions and be able to disarm like mines and stuff underwater. Like we have all that happening now.
I heard about like they have sharks with freaking laser beams attached.
This
to their
isn't
heads.
fucking Gold Member.
Yeah, that's actually the one where they finally got the sharks, because it was always mutated sea bass.
Oh my God. Too much information, Eddie. Is your nickname Crazy Eddie?
Actually, that name has been used for me more than once.
Mostly by ex-girlfriends?
No, luckily not. luckily that hasn't happened. But yeah, no, just friends have said that, because, you know, the way I'm talking to you now is typically how I talk to people.
This is how I talk. That's why I tell you, it's about like creating, like, it's cool to joke around at times. Like people don't understand that they live a little bit too tense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I used to be really good at like straight-faced not sarcasm, but like straight-faced irony, where I'll just be pretending to be something for a little bit. I mean, I always try to tell people by the end that I'm joking, because I don't want them to think it forever. But like, I'll just tell them a lie and then just keep going at it, and then they'll straight up believe it, and then I'll just be like, yeah, I was lying. That didn't happen. And they're like, wait a minute, what? Because I'll go into detail about all of that, like all that airport stuff. That wasn't true. No, it was.
I was about to say, damn, you convinced the hell out of me.
Yeah, no, that was all true. But,
so I have to delete all the way up to the anal bead scene.
Yeah. We just start at the anal beads.
And then roll on from there.
Yeah, everyone would be cool with that.
Well, dude, I mean, I appreciate you even doing the time, especially on your day off, to even get to sit down with me for a little bit and shoot the shit. It's been awesome.
Oh yeah, it's been cool. You know, I just watched the movie Rambo today, or like the new one, and then like took a shower and then got on this.
So you definitely needed to relax after that Rambo. You're all pent up, wanting to go out in the jungle and kill some people.
I gotta say, I mean, if you like Rambo, it's pretty okay.
Pretty okay.
Yeah.
Best review ever. Probably
the best review it's gonna get.
It's not too bad, but it's also not the best thing. I would wait till it comes out on DVD.
I mean, yeah, it's not a theatrical movie. Like Ad Astra, now that's a theatrical movie. But like Rambo: The Last Blood, you could watch it on your fucking antenna, like TV with the rabbit ears. Like you'll be fine. And there's some good gore in it. Like you get satisfied with the gore, but it's also very stupid. So.
It's like sitting down to eat your vegetables when you want to get to the steak. We all know you want the steak, but you got to go through the veggies first.
Yeah, because vegetables are important.
Yeah, it helps you grow.
I do believe in veganism. I'm not a vegan, but I believe in it.
I think it works. I think it works for some people, not everyone.
Yeah, it's like I'm too nihilistic to become a vegan, but I mean maybe one day, but not now. I'm just Mike. I'm eating Panda Express right now as we speak with a feeding tube. So
Good.
yeah.
Enjoy the little things, my friend. Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for being on the podcast, man. It was awesome having you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Have a good night, dude.